I taught my son to fight back, and it cost a boy his hearing in one ear. Elijah was 12 when he came home with his glasses snapped clean through the bridge. He didn't cry. He just set the pieces on the kitchen counter like he was returning something he'd borrowed. Marcus did it, he said. He said I look like a bug. I was already reaching for my keys. I'd spent Elijah's whole childhood learning that nobody protects your kid but you. 3rd grade, a lunch aide let him sit alone for a month and I stood in that office until she was reassigned. 5th grade, a teacher gave him a C on a project he'd worked 6 weekends on, and I appealed it until it was a B+. My father used to say the world only respects people who make noise. I made noise. I was good at it. But that night, standing in the kitchen, holding 2 halves of a $180 frame, something in me shifted from noise to something colder. Next time, I told him, you don't wait for a teacher. You hit him first, and you hit him hard enough that he never thinks about you again. Elijah looked up at me. He had this way of studying my face like he was checking whether I meant it. I made sure he could tell I did. For 3 weeks, nothing. Then the call came at 10:40 on a Tuesday morning, and the assistant principal's voice had a flatness to it that I recognized from the worst day of my life, the day my mother's doctor called. There's been an incident. Elijah is fine. The other student is at county. I don't remember driving there. I remember the conference room, how the chairs were too small, how there were 4 adults waiting, and none of them looked at me the way people usually look at me when I walk into a school. Usually there's a wariness. This time there was something worse. Pity. Elijah had brought a combination lock and a sock. He'd waited by the gym doors. He'd swung it into the side of Marcus's head, and then, when Marcus went down, he'd swung it again. Ruptured eardrum, the assistant principal said. Skull fracture. They think the hearing loss is permanent. I said something about self-defense. I said something about a pattern of harassment. I was reciting it, the way you recite a prayer in a language you stopped believing in years ago, and the assistant principal let me finish, and then he slid a folder across the table. It was a printout of the school's incident log. Marcus's name appeared 3 times. Every single one was Marcus reporting Elijah. October. Elijah told Marcus, who has a stutter, to spit it out already, in front of the class. November. Elijah organized a group that recorded Marcus reading aloud and posted it. December. Elijah told Marcus that his father, who was deployed, was probably relieved to be gone. Marcus broke the glasses, the assistant principal said quietly, after 11 weeks. That was the first time he ever put his hands on anyone. I looked at the log until the words stopped being words. My son had not been a boy who was bullied. My son had been a boy who found someone smaller and pressed until something snapped, and then he'd come home and put the broken pieces on my counter and let me finish the job for him. He knew what I would say. He had been counting on it. I found him sitting in the nurse's office entirely calm, scrolling on a phone he wasn't supposed to have. He looked up and grinned at me. Did you tell them he started it? I've replayed that grin more times than I can bear. Not because it was cruel, because it was mine. It was my face. The one I'd worn in 100 school offices. The one that said, I've already won. I'm just waiting for you to catch up. I didn't fight the expulsion. I asked for Marcus's family's address instead. His mother answered the door. I stood on her porch and I didn't explain, didn't contextualize, didn't say a single word about my son's difficult year. I said my son did this and I taught him how. I said I would pay every medical bill for the rest of his life, and that I would understand completely if she pressed charges. She should press charges. She was quiet a long time. Then she said, thank you for saying it plain. Nobody says it plain. I drove home and took the door off Elijah's bedroom. Took the phone, the laptop, the games, all of it. He screamed that I'd ruined his life. He screamed that I was supposed to be on his side. I was, I said. That's what did it. He's in a different program now. 14 months of court-ordered counseling. He still doesn't fully understand what he did. But last week he asked me what Marcus's voice sounds like now, and he was crying when he asked. It's not much, but it's the first true thing he's ever brought me.